Alright guys, I'm sitting in the lobby here waiting for a game in the PTB. You know, it's gonna take about 8 years to get into a game. So I figure while I'm sitting here I might as well go over his power for you guys. And then I may, you know, put some gameplay with live commentary. I might just do a voiceover, I'm not sure yet. But anyway, Pinhead's Power, Summons of Pain, an extra-dimensional gateway that leads to pleasure and pain so great it will tear your soul apart. So, you can press the power button to create a gateway and release the button to open it. Once opened, tap the ability button to summon forth a possessed chain under your control. Direct the chain into a survivor to bind them. Basically how it works, I can really only compare this to Nurse. It kind of works the same way as Nurse does. So you hold down the power button and it's going to send out a little marker that's just going to travel in a line up until you release the button. Pretty much the same thing as Nurse. And once you release that button, your point of view will leave from Pinhead and go to that point where you released the power button. Once you're on that point, you press the basic attack button and you will shoot out a chain that you can actually control and curve to hit the survivor. So a survivor bound to a chain is unable to sprint. Their movement speed will decrease further as they are hit with a second and third chain. Survivors can perform the break free action to escape. So I haven't actually played the survivor side of Pinhead yet, so I'm not exactly sure how that scenario works. I'm pretty sure it works kind of like breaking free from Deathslinger's chain, where you can kind of like, you know, jam the chain into the environment and stuff like that to get it to break faster. There is some kind of weird bug going on with it right now where I think if a survivor gets hit with so many chains, they're just unable to sprint for the rest of the game. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. But yeah, super cool power. And then his kind of passive / active ability is the Lament configuration. If left alone, the Lament configuration initiates a chain hunt by summoning chains to pursue survivors. The hunt ends when a survivor picks up the Lament configuration. So basically, his little puzzle box, or aka the Lament configuration, will spawn randomly somewhere on the map. And if the survivors do not pick it up and solve it, a bunch of chains will just randomly start spawning around them and shooting at them. And, you know, nobody wants that, so it kind of incentivizes them to actually pick it up and use it. For the second part here, a survivor carrying the Lament configuration will be afflicted by the Oblivious status effect, and chains will occasionally be summoned to attack them. The survivor must solve the Lament configuration to remove it from their possession. While doing this, the Cenobite will see their location and be able to teleport to it. So this is the huge part of his little passive here. So of course the survivors are going to want to solve the puzzle box so they're not being, you know, harassed by chains the entire game. But as soon as somebody does pick it up and start solving it, it kind of triggers a audio and visual cue for Pinhead. It'll have like a aura around the screen. I'll probably put it on here in the background. But you can look in the direction of where they're solving it, and then the same way as Freddy, you can hold down the secondary ability button to teleport right next to whoever is solving it, which is huge. That's great for map pressure. That's great for initiating chase. I love that a lot. Now, on the other hand, if I happen to find the puzzle box first as Pinhead, I can pick it up myself and instantly start a chain hunt, is what they call it. Additionally, all survivors are instantly bound by chains, causing them to scream and reveal their location. So if I pick up the box and solve it, I'll get a visual cue for where all the survivors are at. It's kind of like Doctor, where whenever you use his secondary ability, the Static Blast, it causes everyone to scream and you can see their little visual audio cue that pops up on the screen. It does the same thing. And yeah, the Lament configuration will spawn in a new location after the Cenobite or a survivor has used it. So I'm not really sure what the cooldown on that is, because I think it'd be kind of broken if, you know, the survivor solves the configuration and I teleport at them and I down them. It would kind of stink if that you know, was kind of all for naught if it just respawns in, you know, 10-15 seconds. Hopefully it's longer than that. Yeah, Pinhead, pretty solid killer, solid perks, solid power, really fun to play so far. I'm excited for him to hit live server so I can get those perks teachable, throw them on some other killers, see what we can do with it, get some more content out for you guys.
Nice.
So up first, we've got Hex Plaything, a hex that toys with a victim's suffering. The first time you hook a survivor, they become cursed, and Hex Plaything activates on a dull totem. The cursed survivor suffers from the Oblivious status effect until Hex Plaything is cleansed. Hex Plaything's totem aura is revealed to the cursed survivor when within 16 meters of it. For the first 90 seconds, only the cursed survivor can cleanse the totem. So I like this perk a lot. You hook somebody for the first time, they are now oblivious until they go and break this totem, or after 90 seconds, another person breaks this totem. It takes the stress off of doing gens, because I think whoever's getting hooked would rather, you know, be able to hear the terror radius of the killer rather than get gens done, because, you know, on a killer that has the ability to down really quickly, you know, Deathslinger, Spirit, killers like that, if you can't hear their terror radius, that becomes really scary. So I think this is a great addition. Second, we've got Deadlock. You induce mental suffering by crushing any hope of escape. After a generator is repaired, the entity blocks the generator with the most progress for 30 seconds. You see its white aura during this time. So I think this is another really great perk. I mean, it is kind of going further into the gen regression meta, which, you know, it is what it is. Well, let's say there's 5 gens. You get 2 survivors on one gen, another survivor on another gen, another survivor on another gen. So you've got a bad split. Once those 2 survivors get that first gen done, the second survivor who's got their gen at, you know, maybe like 60-70% because they've been working on it solo, that gen is just going to straight up get blocked for 30 seconds. And that may not seem like a lot, but 30 seconds is a long time in this game. 30 seconds of not being able to repair a gen. You know, that survivor would have been done with that gen if they would have had 30 more seconds, but it's going to take a minute now, a minute 30 seconds, depending on whether or not me as a killer goes and harasses them off that gen. So I think this is a really good perk. It's going to be awesome trying to test out builds with this. Yeah, it's great. I love it. Lastly, we have Scourge Hook, Gift of Pain. You are the bringer of sweet pain. At the start of the trial, up to 4 random hooks are changed into Scourge hooks. You see their auras in white. When a survivor is unhooked from a Scourge hook, they suffer from the hemorrhage and mangled status effect until fully healed. The first time the survivor is healed, they suffer a 9% penalty to healing and repairing actions until injured again. If you hook a survivor on that specific Scourge hook, they call it, when they're unhooked, they will have the hemorrhage and mangled status effect until fully healed. So basically, you're slapping Sloppy Butcher onto a hook, which is great. And then a secondary effect after they get healed from the hemorrhage and mangled, which is going to take an extended period of time because of those status effects. They get a 9% penalty to healing and repairing until injured again. So that is pretty insane. Basically, it forces them to perhaps want to get in a chase with the killer to get rid of that penalty. The downside to that is, you know, getting in chase with a killer, you just have 9% penalty to doing gens until you are injured again, which I think that's great. More power to the gen regression. Alright, here's fine. The way it stretches the cheeks. Oh, that is brutal.